I don't think that we've looked at each other in the eyes that long or that much in years.
At least 3 years.
Years.
This is the Help Me See podcast, and I'm your host, Bianca Morra. I'm an artist, an educator, and an anxiety-ridden mama who's obsessed with making meaning in art out of this one and only life. This podcast is about helping you see your life before it's gone. Like, really see it. I want to ask questions like, when does your now become your nostalgia? How can we be more intentional with the memories we're saving and not just capturing the highlight reel? You can expect an episode every Wednesday, some with just my introvert self rambling about what keeps me up at night, and some amazing guest speakers diving into how they choose to see. Something that seriously pains me is hearing, I wish I would have known how important that was at the time. I hate hearing that from others, and I'm scared to feel that for myself. I do feel like doing this podcast will be a comfort. I believe that if we continue having conversations about intention and awareness, that we can all live more fulfilled lives and create amazing work. I hope you leave each episode feeling inspired by your day-to-day with a deep peace of knowing that you're not missing it. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's talk about everything that's right in front of us. So, let me guess. You are either too in the moment, so you don't think to take photos and you're relying on your fading memories, or you take too many photos and pull yourself out of every single moment you have. Which camp are you in? I bet you could guess that I'm in the overboard camp. I made something just for you. Sign up for my free guide, See Nostalgia Now, 3 ways to save your memories before they're gone. I list super simple tools and easy to implement ideas to diversify how you save your memories so you don't have to feel the pressure of missing the moment or forgetting your memories. I even include some strange personal anecdotes on how I've done it myself. I may or may not have secretly recorded my partner's reaction to my pregnancy announcement and then gifted him the video a full year later. No judgments, please. Head to my website, www.biancaliamora.com, to sign up for the free guide or see the link in the show notes. I can't wait to hear how it helps you bottle up your goodness.
So if you haven't listened to the episode where we talk about it, we had a postponed wedding date set for last weekend and ended up canceling it. Too nervous about the Delta variant. Too many family members had to travel for it, so we ended up canceling it. But we still flew in our photographer and videographer and had a first look. So although we didn't officially get married, we did a first look, we said vows, and we had a little weekend together where it was supposed to be, where the wedding was supposed to be. So what would you say surprised you about the weekend?
How nervous I was.
How nervous you were.
Yeah, I was still very nervous.
Were you nervous?
Really, because the wedding, like outside of like celebrating with family, I mean, a wedding is really just like a formality. Like, I feel like the most meaningful part of the wedding is what we did. Yeah, it's the actual promise to each other, and so that was still very real.
Mm-hmm.
The wedding, it was like a wedding, but it was still like, it was special. It was very, very special.
It still kind of felt like a wedding.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, knowing that we will eventually have an actual ceremony for our family, what do you think about, like, was it anticlimactic for you at all, or, because it's been like, what, 12 years?
It's going to be 13.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
No, it
You
wasn't
said you were
anticlimactic.
surprised. You said you were surprised at how nervous you were.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't find it anticlimactic at all. And honestly, I feel like, I don't know. We didn't really even have a chance to talk about it, I guess. But, maybe wondering how you felt, because I feel totally, like, comforted by it and, like, satisfied. And, we didn't sign any paperwork or anything. But, and also now it's like, now we're really only doing it, like, for the family and really the government documentation. So it's like, I don't know, it's like, part of me is like, oh, we'll get to it when we get to it. But I also feel like excited about, like, even having those days separately. We had the day for us, and now we
Yeah.
can have a day for everybody else, and
Yeah.
like celebrate it with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I do feel like the itch has been scratched in many ways. I definitely want, our parents and grandparents,
Yeah,
our siblings, Joey. Like I definitely want it to celebrate with them, but I'm really glad that we didn't just cancel altogether and cancel the pictures and everything. I think that needed to happen, and it kind of opened my eyes even more to like thinking differently about, like, we already think that we think differently about social norms and doing things the way you should, and being more conscious about it, but this was just like another layer of, well, we didn't even think of this, like, and had
yeah,
we had we realized the reality of what this weekend was going to be, we would have never planned the traditional timeline anyway. We would have planned a totally separate day for photos.
yeah. It was very intimate, and yeah, it was special, and I'd almost recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
definitely recommend it. I
even if
recommend you postponing your wedding, canceling it, losing some money on it, and
no, what I mean is
no, I
if you
know, I
can't,
know.
yeah, like a few days before, or a weekend before or something, just do something like that, and just have a full day, or a full few days of just hanging out to the ceremony. I mean, it kind of takes the piss out of the day a little bit, I guess, if
The
the first look and the actual wedding are so
the
far apart.
Did you say it takes the piss out of the day?
Well, just like if that wasn't like your initial intention, because like you were even saying like maybe I'll get another wedding dress or something,
I don't know.
but it's like personally I'm just excited to see you again, in that, like
In
it
the
was really,
dress?
yeah, it was just really beautiful, and it's fun.
I'm
And
glad
then
you
I'll get
thought it was
another suit.
beautiful. I had a bunch of naysayers, so even though, so the first look did feel very real. I was nervous too. I couldn't wait to just get up there and have you see the dress and everything. I'm not really a dress person, so I was really curious about what you're gonna say and think. Um, but all and that part of the day was really fun. We were hiking around these caves and taking all these awesome pictures. It was so fun. I was in boots, getting my dress dirty. I didn't care, but the part that felt most, I guess, official, quote unquote official, was when we went back to the grounds and we said our vows to each other. I felt like that was really probably the most impactful part of the day. And it was nice because right after we did that, then we grabbed the kids and got some family portraits done, which is just such a nice combination to like to say our vows and reflect on our lives up until this point, and then soon after be bombarded by our own children and like out of our own bubble, which is the reality of our life 99% of the time. But that's another thing that was really I'm not surprised, but I'd like to hear from you. But I was so happy that having photographer and videographer there didn't matter in terms of like the intimacy of it. Like sometimes with people that you're close with, like a friend, like you might even think that because we're friends with this person, it would be even harder to say our vows. And I didn't feel like that at all, like whatsoever. So it was just really nice to be able to sit there and sob and talk and not feel like the moment was any less because other people were there. And in fact, it was like really nice that it was just those people and and not like a whole crowd.
I would have had a harder time saying my vows and crying through them in front of my friends at the altar. And I still don't know if I even want to do that. Like, we'll send them a link to the video. And
What? You don't want to say your vows in front of your friends?
Yeah, again, just like crying. It's like it's worse public speaking in front of your friends than it is strangers or whatever.
Isn't that so interesting? Why is that? Because these are people that we've had like genuinely vulnerable experiences with. So why is it so hard to be vulnerable in front of them?
And have cried together and like all of that in front of each other, but it's still like I don't know. It's that's interesting. It's a much longer episode.
Yeah, why?
But
why is that? That I really want to talk about that. Like when like even when I'm thinking about like posting something vulnerable on social media that I think is important, I think about people closest to me reading it, and it makes me like physically tense up. I'm like, oh gosh, if I could just block everyone that genuinely loves me from reading this. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure.
Is it hard? Bless you, Siley. Is it hard for you to listen to my podcast? Be honest.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know why.
Like it makes you tense?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Do you get the douche chills?
No, I don't. I don't know why. In terms of like the day and stuff, I truly love being able to like have that moment together and then immediately go get the kids. And it was just like, a further kind of manifestation of like the words we wrote. Talked about a little bit of our history and everything and our vows and stuff, and like brings you back to when, we first met and then see where we're at now. And then you just remember all of the times in the middle, and that was really cool.
It made you feel like you're in the middle of a home video, even though
almost, yeah.
You're always in the middle of a home video, which is my passion point, trying to get people to be more aware. People as in myself as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it still feels like a montage home video.
And it felt like it while we were living it.
What I'm interested in is your perspective on the experience of writing vows, kind of like taken out of the context of it being for a wedding. Well, it wasn't a wedding, but for the tradition of a wedding. Like, what is your thoughts on the experience of having to sit down and reflect and write? A big part of what I enjoy doing for people is when I'm taking their photos, I want them to also write down. I also want them to write down and expand on, whatever they're thinking or whatever's going to pull them back to this kind of moment.
I don't really have I just kind of approach it the same way I make or do anything, whether it's like painting or animation or, whatever. think about it for 3-4 days, and I've even done like the same thing with work and stuff. Hand me a shot and I think about the performance. And first day or two, I won't do anything. Just think about it, and I start like slowly kind of getting like a framework in my head, of what I want it to be. Like the vows, I spent like a week just kind of thinking about it, and we were sitting around with Tyler and Victoria the day before, and they're talking, and you guys were singing Good Charlotte, and
why you gotta call me out?
it's all right.
No, I know it's all right. I am proud.
And started playing that, and that was kind of like the thread that like took me back to like when I first met you, and then kind of like brought me through like what I saw in you, what the things about you that I found like so interesting and that I really fell for, and then
No, what you hit on that's interesting to me, and that I feel so strongly about, and it's actually a reason why I'm doing this podcast, or anything else I do. It's the fringe benefit that you get from keeping something in your world, even if you're not doing it. Like the fact that you said you just had it in your mind for a couple days, so your senses were heightened on it, and you were kind of like experiencing just your normal day to day a little bit differently and a little bit deeper than you normally would, just knowing that you were having this thing that you were going to be writing about soon. It's kind of how I feel about having conversations, or whatever the things are that you're inviting into your world. Just by being in proximity to it enriches other parts of your life that you don't expect to benefit from. Like, I just wonder how, if you weren't knowing that you had to write vows, would you have experienced those days the same?
probably not. Maybe though. I don't know. It would have been more of like the context would have been different. I think I still would have enjoyed and appreciated all of those same things. But to be searching for like a through line between, what was in my head for a couple of days, and then noticing maybe you're right. I was more sensitive to the happenings, and I don't know. Were you more sensitive to that stuff during a few days before we actually wrote them and like sat down that night?
Yeah, there's something about knowing that you not have to, but when it's on your mind that you're going to be writing about something, it makes you witness your life differently. Like you really do feel like you're witnessing more than just being on autopilot and moving through the day.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wish you didn't take like a project for or like something like that, like a task to already open myself up to the kind of like daily happenings in that lens. I remember when we were in college, and I had like drawing classes and storyboarding classes, and I was really trying to get better at like drawing and like really efficient, like clarity in my drawings. And I was figure drawing all the time, constantly figure drawing. But what it did was like it like made life more exciting, because I'm always looking like for that person that'd be like a really fun caricature, like looking just like paying really close attention to people's posture and things like that. Like I'd be at the airport and I would be happy almost if my flight got delayed, because it's just more crowd of people would just be coming in to like sit and creepily draw them from a distance.
Yeah.
But it's like I almost need a task like that to That's why I think the challenges are doing are really good. Like the prompts and stuff that, you know, they release, like you had that freebie. I think that's great. I think something for people to kind of like give them a reason to be more mindful, and then over time, it just kind of becomes like second nature, and it's almost like a muscle memory.
And that's why I'm such an education junkie, and I love taking classes and putting myself in the way of whether it be assignments or just like listening to podcasts or lectures, because it stays with you. And even if it's in the back of your head, and it's like a volume notch for your brain, and like being able to see that. So when it's impossible to keep that heightened sense 24/7. It just is. There's too much going on. It's too much sensory overload, too much noise, too much daily needs. But like when you invite something into your life over and over again, it jumps out at you. That's why everything, mindfulness, uh anything you look for, you'll see. That's why people that feel stuck, if you're looking for reasons why you're stuck, you won't ever be at a loss at finding them,
That's why every time you go through a breakup and turn on the radio, you're just crying at every song. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
But
Yeah, you always find what you're looking for.
think about when we took Joy's class, the present family. It's like
Yeah.
it's the same stuff. Like that's why it's also abundant and expansive. I don't mean that in a douchey way. I mean that in a real way. Like it's all right there all the time. And like when we had the context of that class as an undercurrent to our life, we are able to find more levity and more humor and more endearing aspects of our chaos.
It's crazy how immediately like all the like the external things in your life just like kind of take you out of back to reality and like snap you out of like that little only love matters weekend. you know
Uh, such blissful ignorance. No.
yeah.
No, I mean it's funny because those pictures, because we were taking the pictures and we were following Mirov's loose direction. I don't think that I don't think we've looked at each other in the eyes that long or that much in years.
At least 3 years.
Years. So yeah, and it's kind of funny. It's like it's so what's that Leonardo DiCaprio movie? It's so
Inception.
yeah, it's Inception. How everything we're talking about, and the fact that this this podcast is our vehicle to connect. It is the thread.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I never realized how much quiet and peace and space I needed as a human being until it became so scarce. And the problem is the mental space too. Yeah, and it's hard on me because it makes me feel like a fraud sometimes that I'm like, oh, I feel so strongly about like sinking into the reality of your now and this and that, but like trying to make work about it separate from it is one thing. Trying to make work about it while never being outside of it it's just makes me so frustrated. And that's something I really, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty good at lifting the curtains and not leaving stuff out, and, always making sure that I say in no way, shape, or form do I feel like I am an expert on this. I'm neurotic and obsessive enough to always be thinking about it, but that's why we get into these autopilot modes in our lives. It's such survival. Like, oh my gosh. The second the Cassius isn't trying to like kill himself by leaping off something sharp, and Silas is, dare I say, sleeping while I'm not holding him. I just want to look at my phone and do nothing. I think it's important to say that you can be so grateful and so happy and love your life and your baby so much, but still be so enraged and frustrated and discontent and restless. When we were looking at each other during our first look, it felt so like foreign in the sense of like, wow, it's been forever. But then I realized it wasn't that it's been forever that we looked at each other. It's that when we look at each other now, it's in a state of disbelief of the shit that we're doing. Like, it's like the 90-mile stare of, is this our life right now? And that at the first look, it was like, oh, you're a person that I
Oh yeah,
love,
I love you.
and you're beautiful, and we're here alone to celebrate.
Yeah.
And usually we look at each other like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's always that look like, I gotta get out of here.
I gotta get out of here, but I can't leave. You can't leave. Can't leave you. While you were gone, I was talking to myself in the camera saying how important it is to understand how valid it is to be so grateful and happy for your life and your babies, but to be so enraged and frustrated.
It's like so crazy to love something so much and get so angry at it, at the same time. Right, Miles? That is like a trip. Like where my patience start and end. Because our patience start and end for us both at different places.
Yeah, very different places.
Thankfully.
Opposite places, I would say. Almost opposite places. But it's like, and then you feel terrible. You're like, oh my gosh, I am a monster. Like, I didn't recognize what he was doing. But then at the end of the day, too, it's just, you're only human. Like, it's just
I know.
so, and it's just finding your balance and finding your, not losing yourself. And it's like giving yourself the space to do what you need to do and be easy on yourself, but also not so easy that you stay in that absent zombie limbo and don't recognize all of the good that's in front of you either. Yeah. I know. What he did something the other day, and I was getting ready to. Oh, there was like, I told you there was water on the floor, and I had seen it, but then I forgot about it because I was doing something else, and he went to go grab paper towels off the counter, and I was gonna go and just rip it out of his hand and be like, "What did I tell you about what?" And he just got to where the water was and squatted down and started cleaning, like so so responsibly. It was so cute, and I was just gonna like rip it out of his hand, like, and miss that moment. Anyway, so yeah, in summary, our first look weekend was not anything that we imagined it to be, much like everything else in life. But it was perfect in its own right.
It was. It was perfect.
So if I had to give any sort of advice or action items to someone thinking about planning something like this or an event, something that's for them, I would say, 1, before you even think about anything, before you think about where and the who and the what you're doing, make a list of like 3 ways you want to feel in the day. Like, I feel like ours would be relaxed, peace, excitement, whatever it is. And then once you know those feelings of what you're trying to, the day you want to have, then think, okay, well, where would it be if this is how I want to feel? Okay, well, it's not going to be.
I'd also add to that, leave room for spontaneous feelings and like,
Oh, of course, but
because
the core,
you don't want to set like some kind of like limitation or expectations.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously loosely, because I feel like we did just that, and it still ended up.
I think a lot of that came from the location too, and like the environment, and like being where we were, and like having like when we went to go initially look at that location and feeling all those things, like, oh yeah, this feels right, and then that kind of like the environment just kind of aided in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Figure out the feeling you want to have, and then with that feeling in mind, then you can plan your where and your who and your what, but always go back to, is this going to support the feeling that I want to be having that day? And then also, once you do think about the things that might be good, take another look at them. Take a second look and be like, how much of this is just what I think I should be doing, or like a societal norm, or just an ingrained anything in you, and think, is this something I really want to be doing? I think that's important too. Like there was something else that was part that we,
Literally, just do what you want.
yeah,
Just do what you want to do.
just do what you want to do.
Who cares?
It's so easy, but it's so hard. Okay, well, thanks for fake marrying me. Maybe we'll for real get married next year.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, we still have an out, but we better both be on our best behavior, huh?
I love you.
I love you. It's like I feel like it's a loaded statement. It's like pleading. It's desperate. It's I love you.
I love you.
I love you. Oh man. Okay. Well, now I'm gonna try to put him down and not have him wake up instantly because I'll cry.
I'm gonna go back to it. Look at episode 7.